What's up, guys? This is all notes in this video here. You're simplifying square roots, okay? Now, when it says simplify, that means you don't just go square root on the calculator. I don't want you doing that, okay? Now, on the final, you can, but simplified means you look in this diagonal here. These are all what are called my perfect squares, because like 16 would be 4, 4. 9, 3, 3, 4, 2, 2. 36 is 6 times 6. 64, 8 times 8. And it goes all the way down, okay? Now, first off, simplify the expression. Well, first I look for 100 within that diagonal. And it's here, okay? So I know the answer right away, okay? Because you have 10 and 10. You can look straight this way or that way. It's the same thing. So that equals 10. So if it's there. Now the trouble is, what if it's not there? Okay, like 63. There's no 63 here. So what I basically do, where would 63 fall in at? It'd fall in here. Okay. So you put a division sign, an actual division sign. Okay, that's a division sign, bar, and then those two dots. And you start dividing, you know, it's between 49 and 64. You take 63 divided by, and you go backwards. First try 4, and you can't get a decimal. Okay, if it's a decimal, you move on to the next one. That's a decimal, okay? So then I go to 36. Decimal. Hit up on your compass, and you just replace 36 then with 25. Decimal, hit up, replace that with 16, decimal, now go to 9, you delete the 6, DEL, okay, and then go over your 1 with the 9. Okay, I got 7. So what I do then is I make 2 square roots, okay, and I put the number I divided by and the answer I got, similar to how you do the T-chart on the factoring, the 3 terms. 9, 7. 9, number I divided by goes first. Number I got goes second. Now, look at your 9. Your 9's in the bubble. That's equal to 3, okay? So I replace the square root of 9 with 3, and that's my answer. 3 square root 7. Okay, you just put the 3 and then the square root of 7. The first square root, the first number is always in this bubble. Okay, so 3, 3, so 3 square root 7. Okay, if that was confusing, you'll get it eventually. I'll go over a lot of examples. Okay, 200 is 200 in that bubble. Nope, it's not. So I put divided by. And then where would 200 be between these two? So I take 200 divided by 196. I got a decimal. So I hit up and I go over 196. And now I go 169. Just go over it. Decimal. Now 144. Just put 44. Decimal. 121. Decimal. 100. Okay, I did not get a decimal there, so now what I do is I make 2 square roots, both square roots. I put the number I divided by first, 100, and I put the answer I got, 2. Now go look at your 100, okay? You always replace this number. This is always in the bubble, and it's 10 times 10, okay? So I replace that with 10 because the square root of 100 is equal to 10. So I put 10 and then square root 2 right next to it. Okay, next one, 45. It doesn't appear 45 is in that bubble. It's not a perfect square, so I divide. Then 45 falls between 49 and 36, so I take 49 divided by 36, I got a decimal, then 25, 25, decimal, 1/6 decimal. 9, now you got to delete your 1 and then 9, okay? Or no, it's 45, my bad. I was doing that wrong. So 45 divided by 36 decimal, 25, 25 decimal, 16 decimal, 9, just delete your 1 and go over the 6 with a 9, 5. Okay, so now that I didn't get a decimal, I construct my two square roots, and I put 9 first, and then the answer 5, the number I divided 45 by, and the answer I got. Now, we X that out because 9's in the bubble, and that's 3 and 3, so it would be 3 square root 5. Basically breaking this up into two smaller square roots, and one of the smaller square roots becomes an integer, meaning it's just a whole number. Okay, 112, is that on the list? Nope, it's not. So I put divided by, and then I start dividing. So 112 falls between 100 and 121, so I go to the 100. Okay, right there. The first number that's smaller than 112 would be 100. Decimal. Delete your 1, because then you got a double-digit, two-digit number, 81. Whoops, sorry. Decimal. Decimal. Hit up. Then you don't have to keep entering in. Okay, 49, decimal, 36, decimal, 25, decimal, 16, decimal, and 9. Delete the 1, go over with a 9, decimal, and then 4. Wait no, it's 112. Darn it, I screwed it up again. So again, the first number smaller than 112 is 100. You start with the number smaller. Decimal. Delete. And then 81. Decimal. 64. Decimal. 49. Decimal. You gotta be patient. 36. Decimal. 25. Decimal. How about 16? Okay, I got 7 finally. So I break that into two smaller square roots, 16, 7. Okay, now 16's in the bubble right here, so I cross that out, and that's equal to 4, okay? So it would be 4 square root 7. Okay, 343, okay? Is that in the bubble? Nope. Ends here, so divided by, so get that on your calculator, set up. So the first number smaller is the end number, 225, decimal. Now I go to 196, decimal. Now I go to 169, decimal. Then I go to 144, decimal, then 121, decimal, then 100, decimal, go to 81, delete your 1 and put 81, decimal, 64, decimal, 49, 49. Okay, I got it, okay? So I make two square roots, and I put 49 and 7. So I have the square root of 49 times the square root of 7. Now, 49 is in the bubble, okay? So you replace 49 with the number times itself that gives you 49, which would be 7. Okay, so I have a 7 and a square root of 7. Okay, next up. Now there's an outside number. I'll tell you what to do with that here in a second, but look at your 12. Your 12's not in the bubble, so I put 12 divided by, okay? And then 9's the first number that's smaller than 12, okay? So decimal, then replace your 9 with 4. Okay, you got 3. Now here's what you do. You make your 2 square roots just like before. You put 4 and 3. And this outside number I put right in front of the first square root with a times sign, dot. Now, 4. Since 4 is in the bubble, it's 2 times 2. So the square root of 4 is 2. Now at the end, you multiply these two numbers. You times them. You take 4 times 2, which is 8. And I put the square root with 3 next to it. Okay. Same thing, we have an outside number, but first I just dial in on the 80. 80's not in the bubble. 81's close, but close doesn't count. Okay, now start dividing. So 80 divided by 64 decimal, divided by 49 is a decimal, by 36 decimal, by hit up and go 25, just go over it, up 16. Okay, I do not get a decimal, so that's what I go with. So I make the 2 square roots, the number I divided by, and my answer. Now remember that 8 that's outside you put here with a times dot. Now 16 is the number in the bubble, okay? And then what times itself is 16? It's 4. Now we need to take the 4 times the 8, okay? That'd be 32. I put a square root with 5 in. 32 square roots of 5. Okay, next page. 16, okay? 16's in the bubble right away. So if it's actually in the bubble, you know your answer. What times itself is 16? It's 4. So I just put 4. I don't need any of that division crap when it's in there. I know the answer instantly. Okay, now 20. 20's not in the bubble, so I got to do the divide, okay? So 20 divided by 6, 16 is the first number that's smaller than 20, so that is where I start. 9's a decimal. Now try 4. Okay, so you got it. And we have 4 and 5. Okay, so 4 is in the bubble because that would be the square root of 4 equals 2. There is not a number in the front, so I have my answer. I don't need to times 2 square root 5. Okay, now I have a number front, but just ignore that. 48, not there. Okay, so I divide, put my division sign. And 48, 36 is the first number smaller. Decimal, decimal. And go to 16. Okay, I did not get a decimal. So I put 2 square roots, and I have 16 and 3. Now we did have this 2 outside, so I put 2 times in front of it. It's multiplication, okay, not addition. So that number from the bubble, that's 4, okay. So I take 2, I can't just write 4, I got to take the 4 times the 2, and that's 8 with a square root of 3. Okay, next problem, 96. 96 is not in the bubble, so I have to divide. Okay. The first number smaller than 96 is 81. Decimal. And then 64 decimal. Decimal. Decimal, decimal. Okay, So I make my 2 square roots just like I normally do. I put the number I divided by in the first square root and my answer in the second. Now you did have this 3 out here, so 3 times, we cross that out. Since that was in the bubble, that's 4, okay? Now again, we got to take the 4 times our 3, and that's 12, and I just leave the square root of 6 after the 12. 12 square roots of 6. Okay, next one. 72. No number outside. Make a reference, so there's no multiplying, okay? Is 72 in the bubble? It is not, so I divide. Okay. First number smaller than 72 is 64, so I take 72 divided by 64. That's a decimal. Now I go up to 49. Decimal. Up to 36, 36. Decimal. Or no, it wasn't a decimal, so I make my square roots. Keep in mind there's no number right here, so it's just the 2 square roots. So 36 and 2. Okay, 36 was a number in the bubble, and that's equal to 6. Okay, see, 2's not in the bubble, so I don't do anything with that. Okay, so it's 6 square root 2. Okay, 32, not in the bubble, so I start dividing. Okay. So, first number smaller than 32 is 25. You don't divide by the numbers bigger than 32, okay? Those are always decimals no matter what. And then 16. Okay, I got it. I construct my 2 square roots. There's no number outside, so no multiplying. And then I go 16, 2. We always replace the first square root with what it's equal to. The number times itself, that's 16, would be 4. So it's 4 square root 2. Okay, 54. Okay. So again, divided by. And I start with the numbers. The first number that's smaller than 54, 49. Didn't work. Didn't work. That's 1.5, in case you can't see it. Didn't work. I'll go up to 16. Didn't work. Now I'll go up to 9. Delete. You got to delete the 1 and then go 9. 6. So I make 2 square roots. Now after you've made them, check for the number outside. There's not one, so I don't need to multiply. 9 and 6. And we replace that with 3. Okay. There's no number here to multiply 3 by, so it stays 3. Okay, the square root of 28. So again, 28 is not in the bubble. If it's in the bubble, you get your answer instantly. Now you're going to have to divide. Okay. So 28 divided by, get that punched in. So 25 decimal. 16, 1/6 decimal. 9, you got to delete your 1 and then put 9 decimal. Go over your 9 now with 4. Okay. So again, there's no number in front, so I don't write that. I just make my 2 square roots and I put 4, 7. Okay, the square root of 4 would be 2, because that's the number times itself that gives you 4. So 2 square root 7. Again, had there been like a 5 there, I'd go 2 times 5 and put 10 with a square root of 7, but there wasn't.